born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
You're an athlete. Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.
All right, welcome athletes into the gym closet. Here as always, Amber.
Woo-woo.
And Zach.
Yes.
And I am here as well. Tyler.
You are here.
Tyler.
Yes, Tyler. Introduce
And then maybe
myself.
in a couple weeks we'll get Zach or Dan on. He'll
Yes,
be on
Dan
here
will be
regularly.
in.
Yeah.
Exciting news for him. He will be in here to add to the brain trust of Krave Gym.
With a fun
the gym
fact of the
closet.
week.
Yeah,
Yes.
we already got that set up for him. He didn't have to think of his own. Did we make Jake think of his own
He was going to
Little
do
segment.
recipes.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
That's
We
works
did
out
not- we
about
didn't
as
do
good as
that,
our
but-
craving does
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
No, come on.
Yeah, that's the truth.
We have cravings.
We have
Jake
cravings.
fully admitted he didn't want to do recipes because he wasn't good.
That's
at them.
fair,
So
yeah.
it's
That's
all
fair.
Yeah.
That's what the big
Actually, I
issue
think-
ends up being.
I was thinking, I was like, we need some way to get this more interactive with people. I think so. We need to, besides the craving, but we need to like have.
Like a fitness question of the week, like have people ask like a fitness question
I would
and
like
we can
that.
answer it.
Like
I kinda
that, or
that.
like people need we need some ideas from other people of what a new segment could be. We need some feedback from people. I feel like we don't get any feedback besides how good it is.
Yeah,
which is
maybe it's just-
awesome.
maybe
That's
we're just
great.
killing it.
Yep.
If we have nothing we could improve on, that would be fine.
Maybe we're solving
but
all the world's problems in 40 minutes on the Gym
Right.
Closet podcast.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Let's see if I can actually get
Just
these
dropping
cameras
bombs.
set.
and I'd love to like put a post out there and like get a bunch of questions. But I've done that a couple times and no one ever asked any questions.
I
So
know. I guess we just fill them in on everything that they need to know.
I know.
There we go. Yeah, we're too preemptive. That's,
I know, yeah.
that's our problem.
Or maybe
I just
people
thought
are,
people would have questions like about us like personally though.
yeah,
And no one
it
has
could
any
be
questions
anything. It
about
doesn't
us.
have to be
Yeah.
fitness related.
No one has any like questions about us personally ever. No one cares about us, I guess. But it's fine.
It's fine.
That's probably
So
just the truth.
It's probably
At some point, we just have to accept that no one gives
no
a
one
shit.
cares.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's fine.
It is what it is. It's fine.
But we have a good episode today. We're a week away from jumping into our next season podcast. So next week we will preview next season and we will preview a bunch of cool stuff that we got going on. But this week we will have a word of the week in all of our segments.
Yep.
Next week we will have all of the fill-in
Some
on
athlete
Krave
shout outs for
information.
this challenge.
Ooh,
Yes, that
yeah.
too.
I mean, that's some solid numbers.
We've been getting some
We've been
awesome numbers.
Solid
Yeah,
numbers,
it has
yeah.
been like there's been a few like just insane times pop up from a few people.
And so, should we go there already? Like, should we go there?
If you want to.
and talk about
So-
it, yeah.
So what we were laughing about, not laughing with you, not at you, obviously.
Always with you.
Always with you. But in the office, it was kind of funny how when people first did the challenge, their time was like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And now we have people hitting like a minute 30. So they're just
Yeah.
chopping off like 40 seconds of their
Yeah.
time, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Which is good
but
because like again, we want to see progress, but
I think people the
you
first
can't be making that
challenge-
much progress.
Right. Well, I think maybe it's like a mindset. It
Oh,
has
for
to
sure,
be,
yeah.
for sure. Because
For
physically,
sure.
you cannot get that better in 3-4 weeks, right?
Right.
So it's just like, okay, I need to.
Well, it's just like anything.
I need to
right?
go slow to see how I'm going to feel after this.
I don't think that's the
No,
case.
that's me. Going into
think-
it, I'm like, I can't go too fast because
But you don't know.
I don't know
you
how my
also
body's
don't
going to
know-
respond to
you don't
4
know the
rounds
challenge.
of it.
You don't know the challenge.
Yeah.
Period. So like, just like the first time that you bench press, you don't know the movement, and so the second time that you bench press, so you're not using all of your potential when you're doing
Right,
that
kind of what
the
I was
first
saying.
time.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe I said
But
it
then
a
so
bad
now
way,
then
but yeah, it's
you
like
practice
just,
the first time,
and then you get down and
then
you're like, oh, that wasn't too
kind of
bad.
like newbie gains.
You're right.
In
Oh, yeah.
strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like once you get the movement down, you can speed up. Just think about like the ladder, right? So, so people
Pinky
are doing
shuffle or whatever.
a certain movement on the ladder, and they go super slow. And once you can see, once someone gets the movement, it's like, oh, boom,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
and it's the
And I
same
do
thing.
think there's like some strategy involved too with
I like
with
that
the challenges
aspect,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, there's like we get a little bit of a mental workout too.
Uh-huh.
You know.
But so Jackie Andrews,
Yeah, that was
Lucky,
insane.
killing it. So Damon Dixon, an athlete over here, he got 128.
129.
129.
I said 128, but I gave him a second extra credit.
Jack asked, or maybe you had said that someone over here at 129, we had to beat it, or 28 or whatever. And so then Jack was like, "Oh, that's insane." He's like, "But I'm gonna beat it." Didn't he say it?
And
like
he did.
claimed it.
He did, and he
said he was gonna beat it, and he got 127.
Yeah, it was,
which is fast.
incredible
and Dana,
to watch.
Dana was under 132.
Yeah, Dana got 128.
And then Bailey got 130. There's some solid numbers over
There's been some good numbers.
Yeah.
We have some great numbers over here too.
Yeah.
It's close. It's like within our average of the top 10 is within a couple seconds, and I haven't 4 seconds maybe. Something like that.
Yeah, some.
And
it's a close.
And I haven't put in
race,
at West Des Moines. I haven't had a chance to put in the last challenge yet.
Yeah,
I believe.
I think the guys especially is going to end up being like
Couple
splitting
seconds,
hairs. Yeah, so like every second's going to matter.
So
on
West
all
Des Moines
top 10
athletes,
paths.
you need to continue to
Or you could not.
rock and roll.
Yeah, or not. Just
You
We got to get these
don't
trophies
show
back.
up. Don't do it.
Yeah.
We got to get these
No,
trophies
no.
back.
Don't worry,
They
West
gotta
Des Moines.
stay. They gotta stay.
No.
Yeah,
they've
so it's been fun to see
Waukee
though.
for too long already.
So next
One
challenge
season.
will be this Saturday,
Yes.
and then Monday. Or are we done after Saturday? Done?
No, we'll have
I think
one
we're
more.
done.
We'll do Monday. We have Monday in the schedule technically, or that week in the schedule technically.
All right, we're calling it now.
Sounds good.
So be
So
prepared.
Saturday,
and Monday.
Oof. So come Saturday
Grand
and Monday.
finale on Monday.
Yep.
All right.
I need to beat you on Monday.
Yeah, you're gonna do this. I'm gonna do it again maybe Monday. See if I can beat my time.
What's your time right now?
1:30. I think that's what it is.
I think your time is 1:30. Yeah.
Fuck, I gotta beat 130.
Mm-hmm.
Jack got
I
127.
got 127.
David got 129.
Yeah, I know, but that's very fast. All right.
You were
Challenge
confident
on.
when I came home. You're like, "Oh, I think I can get."
I was confident when you were at 145 or whatever you were at 143
140s.
because I pinned myself or I pegged myself as a 130s.
My goal is 127 now.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I gotta do it.
That's flying.
It's tough.
That's
That's
fast.
flying.
It's flying. I gotta
Yeah.
strategize and what
That
I'm
is
gonna do.
fast. Well, if you think about it, it's like 20, 21, 22
seconds around.
seconds per round
Mhm.
to do basically 18 reps. I mean, so that basically gets you to a little over 1 second per rep of. I mean, you can rep out 6 push-ups in,
Right.
3-4 seconds.
Yeah,
But
Let's go.
let's go. We got all of our segments today. What do we want to get into first?
Let's just dive into the craving.
All right.
Yes.
If you're gonna give
Since
us
she's
a
so
choice.
prepared.
I'm so prepared today. I just want to do this because I'm so prepared.
Yes.
Although I did fuck it up. You know what I did? I put it on the West Des Moines page, not even the Krave.
Oh man, so it's not even going to be an accurate.
No, it's going to be accurate. It's going to be
representation?
better than the past. I mean, this is a step in the right
We have it
direction.
on the social media. Is a step in the right
That's
direction,
true.
so-
It's on there somewhere.
It's-
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you, if you remember, we did a food this or that. So pizza or pasta? And pizza was 70%, pasta was 30%.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
Dine-in, takeout. Dine-in was 63%, takeout was 37%.
So dine in. Everybody getting out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
That
I'd
makes
rather
sense.
dine in for sure.
I
Yeah.
would definitely rather dine.
What do you guys think won? Ice cream or cake?
Ice
I bet ice cream won.
Ice
yeah.
cream, 73 to 27.
That's a big
That's a
jump.
Yeah.
big. Okay, breakfast or dinner? What do you think won?
Dinner.
Yeah, probably dinner. Yeah.
Dinner, yep. 58 to 42.
Ooh, that was close.
That's
though.
close. Yeah. I personally
Ooh,
hate
this
breakfast.
one's real close.
I love breakfast.
Ugh, I hate it.
personally.
You do?
I
You
don't
eat
like
12
breakfast.
eggs a day. How could you love
Well,
breakfast?
no, I
Oh,
love
egg
like a
whites.
celebratory breakfast.
A
Like
nice
a
breakfast.
daily breakfast. I don't like daily dinner either.
I would say once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get like IHOP or something, and
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
pretty good
That's
on the
my
weekends.
jam.
And
Like,
you
if
like
you
that
get an
because you eat the same
omelet,
thing
you get-
over for breakfast. So I think that when you get something
Yes.
better, it's just so much better.
But like dinner's the
different.
same way though.
yeah. I
If
mean,
we go out for dinner, I enjoy that more. But I think I enjoy going out for breakfast food
better
more than I do.
dinner.
Yeah, we went to Machine Shed
Oh, for brunch.
for brunch for Easter.
is
That
good.
is
Good. It's
phenomenal.
a great place.
Yeah,
And the service is awesome.
yeah. So we had like
No sponsor
prime
that.
rib.
Sponsor us, Machine
Yeah,
Shed.
yeah, please.
The thing I enjoyed the most. that?
I don't know.
Uh-oh. Something in our electrical box is going bzzz. It just started all of a sudden. If you see sparks, we're going to have to vacate the gym closet, maybe get a new podcasting room after we catch the gym on fire from... but anyway, but yeah, I love, like, if I could just have prime rib and shrimp cocktail.
Well,
That
yeah.
combo, like
It was
that
good.
that combo was phenomenal.
And their shrimp cocktail were like the big
Yeah.
shrimp.
Yeah.
Oh, my
that's
gosh.
not like an
Their
everyday
prime rib,
breakfast,
though.
though, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Their prime rib is pretty red. I'm surprised you liked it.
Red, meaning raw.
Yeah.
I love, like, if I could have raw steak, that's what I would.
Huh.
Want.
Alright.
Yeah.
What'd you do for Easter?
We just hang out with my family
Oh,
and
nice.
Haley's family.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you cook?
Well, we did. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. No.
Right.
Me personally, no. I didn't do
Exactly.
anything.
Of course.
A lot of other people did, but I didn't.
The men, I feel like the men, that's just not what you guys do. You just sit there and then
Yes.
the women just cook it all.
Probably.
And that's good. You guys
Yes.
can enjoy it. Okay. Waffles.
That is good. I love that.
I like that too.
Waffles or pancakes? This is very close.
I bet pancakes.
I bet pancakes won. Probably.
Waffles.
Really?
53%
Mm.
and pancakes 47.
That's
Interesting.
crazy.
Rice or noodles?
I bet noodles won. I would personally say rice though.
I bet noodles won.
Yep, 63 to 37.
That was a big one. Yeah.
Ooh, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate
Yeah.
won.
No way.
Vanilla.
Vanilla?
58,
I would vote for vanilla.
58%.
What?
Chocolate 42.
That's dumb.
There's just so many
Personally, that's
variations
stupid.
of chocolate that I was
Right.
surprised that chocolate, because chocolate encompasses
Vanilla
so much
cake
more
over
shit.
chocolate cake for sure.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
gross.
Really?
No,
Chocolate
honestly.
cake?
Like, there's nothing. Yeah, no.
Oh.
Vanilla ice cream over chocolate.
We had-
No.
Any day.
The vanilla cake from Costco. We got it for Porter's birthday. Oh my gosh. You get a huge thing for 19
I would say the
bucks.
chocolate cake from Costco is
So
better.
It's probably good, but not better than the vanilla. Veggies or fruit?
I bet fruit won.
Fruit probably won.
Fruit,
Sweet.
66
That's a
to
big one.
34.
That's a big gap.
Salt or pepper?
Oof.
Pepper probably.
Salt.
Tie.
Tie. 50
Oh,
50-50.
shit, really?
Nice.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
I bet sweet.
Yeah,
won,
59 to 41. Tacos or burgers?
Burgers.
I bet tacos.
Tacos, 57% to 43. And spicy or mild?
I bet mild won.
I bet mild.
Spicy.
Really?
Spicy one.
65 to 35.
More
Wow.
representation from the
Really?
spicy clan.
Yeah, it was-
Okay, so I feel like I have to apologize
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
for that segment because I feel like that's terrible radio just to list off stuff. So we need to really revamp that segment.
I think it's great. How do you know? Maybe people are
Because
really into this conversation.
I don't think they are. And I don't think
What
that I
the
want to be a
hell?
podcast that just lists like imagine a sports podcast just listing like votes on 20 different best of athletes. I think we can do this. I think we need to reevaluate how we report on it. And if we do it, then we can make like a image and post that on social media.
How much time do you think we got to make all these images?
No, but I think we just need take the vote, take that data and just make a picture of all of the things that won and then put that up as a foodie as a design. But to sit here and list or guess what we think won in a vote
Oh, sorry. Wow.
doesn't, just to me. And I may be wrong, so comment in the YouTube video
Please
below.
interact with
Well,
us.
maybe people are
and-
trying to think, and they're like, "Oh, really? That one won?" Like maybe they're more
Well, I
into
think
it.
I
than
think
you
we need to get back on our schedule of we
Why
do a
do-
craving. We put our craving out this week, but then we don't talk about it until next week. So then we can.
And I don't think if
Why
if
do we have to
a-
do what every other podcast is doing? This is different than what they're doing. So maybe
I think
people
that
want
successful podcasts, I think unsuccessful podcasts may go down a boring list of things. That to me, if I'm listening I want to skip ahead.
Okay.
So please tell us what you
But
want.
yes,
know what
I
kind of
want
podcast you
want
listen to.
everybody.
This isn't even
I want
worse than
everybody's.
the one we listened
I want everybody's opinion.
Just like I said earlier, like, I would love to make this more interactive somehow.
Right.
So like maybe next time when I put a post in the Facebook groups and say what questions do you have.
But that's the thing. So we have over 100 people that listened to last episode, and that's great. But we don't hear from anybody.
Right.
And then the social media side of things is probably 10% of that as far as interacting. Maybe some people that didn't listen to the podcast will interact with the social media stuff, and so. And we're talking about background information stuff here right now, but I just feel like we need
Which
to
I would fast forward
something
through right now.
Right. No, I agree.
This is a terrible episode.
This is an awful
episode we've
But
got.
we got
Maybe
to
we
revamp this. So we got to figure out how it's exciting and how it's fun to report on. Period.
Just saying, this is a shit. I would be all about
This
that.
episode
I
sucks.
think they picked pepper.
Right? Will you be listening?
I'd be in my car like, you motherfucker, you should have picked pepper. Salt sucks.
And then list on the next one.
What's next?
All right.
See, you just gotta make it. You make it what it's worth, right? I'm just
I don't know. Are
okay,
you
so
disagreeing
what?
with me?
No, I'm not at all. What's the next segment?
No one's even listening anymore. No one's listening at this point. We might as well just call it.
Okay. So let's get into our next segment. Sorry, that was a hosting
Well,
tangent
you know
that I
this
went on.
isn't live. We can crop this and make
We
it
could
sound
edit
real
this
good.
podcast.
We can,
No, but I like
we can
this.
just put like you can try to match up words with like a good. Just take someone else's shit and try to match up our.
It's gonna be like
our
our
mouths
voices will
with-
change. And like we're gonna be like talking over here.
No, I like this interaction. I think that other people like these conversations, but we got to figure out a better way to lead to these random conversations.
Right.
Okay.
So
Please
So-
tell us what you want.
anyway, if you are, let's do this. If you are adamantly, if you love listening to us list off a this or that, then comment on our.
Thought I couldn't get every word.
If you love that, comment,
That.
and we might keep.
What do
it.
they comment? That?
Comment. Keep the this or that lists going. That will be what we do.
Joking.
Okay. Now, to move the show forward, on to the next segment.
I've never
We will
cried.
get
I've
into
cried
it.
once on this podcast, and I never cried from laughter. This shit
We
makes me
will jump into our Mythbusters of the week and make Zach get
No
serious off of that.
Have you guys seen the
fiasco.
bloopers? I can't come back from this now.
Yes, this is
Remember
You
the
can. You
remember
can.
the bloopers?
Right.
Yes.
The bloopers are the best.
There is no coming back
The
for Zach.
coaches,
He's
yeah.
just. We
I'm
might have
done
to
for
come
the
back.
day.
Yeah.
I'm
All right.
done for the
Bloopers.
day.
All right, so we're gonna get into
All right.
our Mythbusters. You said
All right.
you were prepared for the Mythbusters. Let's do
I
it.
was prepared,
Good.
yes. I
Yeah.
was before. Okay, focusing. Myth for this week is talking about eating after a certain time of day. And I think I've said this before, and we've kind of all said this before, but most of the ideas that we come up with are from, talks that I have with, our athletes or my nutrition clients. And for whatever reason, this last couple weeks here, there's, I've had a few people, bring up the fact that, they're low on their protein maybe. And I say, okay, well, if you, before you go to bed at night, open up your app, open up your MyFitnessPal, look and say, okay, I'm 30 grams low, have a protein shake before you go to bed. Just make it easy on yourself. Don't make things super complicated. And they, I've had a couple people respond with, I go to bed at 10 o'clock and you're not supposed to eat after 7 or after 8 or something like that. And that's complete bullshit. And I think some of it we touched on a lot with fasting, I know, which we've talked about before. So I know we've talked about that some, but I think a lot of the idea of not eating after a certain time of day comes from this line of thought that, if I eat carbs and then I go to bed, now I'm not burning those carbs. I'm not using them at all. So now if I have 20 carbs before I go to bed, those 20 carbs are instantly going to be turned into fat. Which, again, like we've talked about, 1,000 times, if you're hitting your macros, it doesn't matter at the end of the day what you're eating, when you're eating it. If you're eating in that proper macro range, it's not going to matter because you're going to have to use those carbs, right? If you burn 2,000 calories in a day and you eat 1,500 calories in a day, it is physically impossible, no matter what you eat or when you eat it, to gain weight. I think a really good so I'm trying to thought now that Amber's videoing me. A really good kind of explanation that I saw about it was your body can't just create tissue out of nothing, right? So
Right.
if you're burning 2,000 calories, if you are gaining weight, that means you have to be eating more than 2,000 calories. If you are losing weight, it means you have to be eating less than 2,000 calories and vice versa, right? So your body, if you're not overeating and you're not eating more calories than you're burning, it is literally impossible to gain weight. Now, that number is, is different for everybody, how many calories you're burning a day, so it's not like you can, not like I can just give you a number right now, but with a little bit of math and some formulas that we have, we can get that. But yeah, so to kind of, wrap things around to the original myth of not being able to eat after a certain time of day, just know that it's bullshit.
I think
And-
that I was gonna.
You want to film? You want to record this?
What's that?
See, I'm about
Ooh,
to get a
you
mic drop. It's
record
about to be a
Amber,
mic
to
drop moment.
get
I'm
real.
probably gonna f it up now.
Okay.
And I think you might be saying this too, but what I think this myth stems from is the average person probably consumes all of their calories by after dinner, right? So 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
Right.
So the myth of eating after 7 or 8 is going to make you fat is false because, could be true because more people are going to eat calories after dinner and that's going to be like your cookies, your ice cream, so if you're overeating your amount of calories you should have every day, then yes, that is where they run into a problem. If they already ate all of their calories by 5 or 6 p.m. So then if you are eating past that time, could sort as fat. But yes, if you're just following your macros and eating 2,000 calories because that's your limit at 10 o'clock at night, it's not going to make you gain weight.
Right. And like I said, we've talked about this before when we've talked about fasting, but the whole theory behind fasting, it's not a magic pill, right? It's a valuable tool that you could potentially use, and there's nothing inherently there's nothing wrong with fasting if it works for you, but the fasting itself, like the calories that you're eating after 8 o'clock versus before 8 o'clock, are no different. They're the exact same thing, right? Your body doesn't process them any differently. Nothing different happens. But, again, going off what Amber said, the theory is that if you only have 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. to eat versus 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., an extra, 6 hours of eating, theoretically, you would eat less with less time to eat.
Right.
But if you eat 2,000 calories between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., or you eat 2,000 calories from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., it's 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
That's the exact same thing.
The big thing that people overlook is calories equated. There is no difference.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But I think that a lot of these myths, one, they're great advertising for our nutrition coaching programming and our nutrition seminars that we do, because I think that most of these myths come from a in passing advice column, right?
Oh, totally.
So like if you are going into the nutrition store and you're like, hey, real quick, what are some of the tips that you could have because I want to lose weight? An easy tip is fast until noon. An easy tip is, don't eat after 6, and that's just a soundbite that gets you a rule that now that's where the myth comes from, and it makes it seem like that's a rule that actually helps you lose weight. When in all reality, I eat probably at least 50% of my calories past 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Every single night. Because that's what works into my schedule. I'm very light on, and this is anecdotal, personal so you don't have to eat like this. But I personally have right at about 280 to 300 carbs. I'm not in like a losing phase right now, so I'm kind of just trying to stay in the middle of those. I have about 70 grams of fat, and I have about anywhere above 190 protein. So that's kind of where my numbers sit. I get 100 grams of protein from 12 egg whites when I first wake up, and then a protein shake sometime in the morning. Mm-hmm. That 100 usually lasts me, like today I brought my lunch randomly because we had bought on-the-go lunches, so that's cool. But then we have, we have more that some other days where I don't have on-the-go lunches, I don't eat again until 4 o'clock when I get home on some of my nights off. So like I'm only eating 100 grams of protein from when I wake up at 5:30, 6 a.m. till 4 o'clock. So if I was just to not eat after whatever the made up number is, 6, 7, I would only have an hour to eat all of my macronutrients minus 100 grams of protein. So 100 grams of protein, I try to get 200. So I would need to get 100 grams of protein. I would need to get my entire allowance of carbohydrates, which is about close to 280 to 300, and then 75 grams of fat. I would have to do that all in an hour, and that would just be very uncomfortable. Now I do that oftentimes because I want to go to bed, and if I have like a late night and I'm starving, right? So sometimes I do that, but I don't gain weight. The other thing that I think adds to this conversation is, do our body, like some people think our bodies like stop working?
Yeah, like
at
you just stop
night,
metabolizing anything.
When I'm sleeping, my cells aren't working and changing, and I'm not breathing, and my metabolism stops. There's so much of your basal metabolic rate happens at night where you're still metabolizing food that you've eaten. You're still burning calories, breathing and sleeping and all of that kind of stuff. So to think that your body completely shuts off and you can't burn calories that you've eaten that are in your stomach for some reason just doesn't make sense. And so it's a myth that is again, it's a tool that if you are overeating and if I had my numbers and after dinner I hit 300 grams of carbs and I'm already at 70 grams of fat and I already have 190 grams of protein, then I'm probably, I shouldn't eat past that time because I've eaten my allowance of macronutrients and calories for the day by 6 o'clock. So that's when I should stop eating. And I think that the popular American diet does that. The popular American diet has a pretty big breakfast, a pretty big lunch, and a pretty big dinner, and a snack in between or something. So in that eating pattern, that means that you're probably done with your macronutrients at about 5 o'clock. So you probably should not eat past 6 o'clock or whenever you're done with that late meal. But guess what? If you like to eat or drink a glass of wine before you go to bed, or you like to eat a dessert and you save, the tactic that I would have is instead of eating all of your allotted macros and calories for being done at dinner, save yourself 50 grams. We were talking about the core pudding that they came out with, and while that is a great alternative, the pudding, and we call it mud, that would be a tactic to get extra protein without making just a shake and slamming a shake, right? So what we've done in the past is add a little bit of protein powder. We've actually added a little bit of like sugar-free pudding before. Mm-hmm. You add a little bit of water and you make like a sludge, or we call it mud, or they call it pudding, and that is that makes for a very high protein, 50 grams of protein, very low carb, 5 to 10 grams of carbs, and 5 to 10 grams of fat that you have left. So like that's a great snack if you need more protein at the end of the day, and that you can do that right before you go to bed. The problem though is that, you know, a product like that, if it has too many carbs, if it has too much fat per what you're getting for protein, you might as well have a scoop of ice cream. And we figured out that if you have half a cup of ice cream and you have 2 scoops of iso protein or of the Core Pro that has, you know, X amount of protein in it, you get the same amount of macros as the mud, and you're getting ice cream. It tastes better. It just has that ice cream feel. So like, there's a purpose for everything, and no matter what numbers, you have to figure out where your numbers sit and what your numbers need to be to hit, and figure out a way at night to either not go over by not eating past 6. So it might be good advice for somebody.
Right.
But that's a tool on our tool belt, because if you need more protein, you might need to have a protein shake, or you might need to make some pudding or mud or sludge or whatever you would call it with protein powder, and or even have that. Like, another good thing is doing that and then putting it in the freezer and letting it sit in the freezer for an hour or 2. Then it gets like super ice creamy. Like, that's a really good snack if you need higher protein. But I know a lot of people are in the same boat where at 8 o'clock you have 40 grams of protein that you need to hit, and you're cashed out on everything. So if you couldn't eat, now you're going to be...
Chicken on a fork.
Yep. Chicken on a fork is great. Hot sauce within chicken.
Hot
like, that's
sauce,
some stuff that we
sauce.
do, you know.
It's funny because, like, I have to have...
Or
I have my breakfast.
protein shake.
I have a smaller breakfast, like 2 eggs and, like, a piece of toast or something. And then, like, I have to have a snack, and then I have to have my lunch. Like, I'm so regimented like that. Like, I don't know how you go all day without not eating. But
that's the thing, though, is that everybody is different, right? So, like,
it works well
at the end of the day, like, all these nutrition myths that we talk about, whether it's fasting or don't eat sugar or keto or, like, all of this shit, they can all be valuable tools, right? Like, trying to cut sugar, that can be a helpful tool. Fasting can be a helpful tool, you know, not eating after a certain time. All of those things, you shouldn't be like, oh, you know, I have to after 8 o'clock. No, that's not it. It all comes down to how many calories are you bringing in versus how many calories are you burning, right?
Because, and your lifestyle.
And whatever fits into that. And it can be different. I'm different every day, you know, personally. Like, there are days where I eat a big lunch and a big supper, and I don't have any room after I eat supper, so then I don't have a snack.
Yeah.
Or there's days where I have 80 carbs and 50 grams of protein left.
And you're like,
so
yes.
I drink a pop and I have a protein shake. Like, it literally is, if you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. If you're...
But that's such valuable information too, is how do you know that you've hit those numbers if you're not tracking?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
How do you know where you're at? Your day's all over the place, right?
Exactly.
My day, I could probably figure out, if I tracked one day, I repeat that relatively similarly every day. You maybe do the same. But if your day is, some days I'm here, some days I have bigger, some days I'm not. Most people, I think, are in that boat.
Right.
So if you don't track, if you don't know what you're actually consuming, you're fucked anyway.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's the first step, is getting the knowledge to know what you're eating.
And that's not to say, too, that you need to track, like, religiously for the rest of it. Because I'm kind of at a point now where, I've, tracked for, 16, 18 months probably, where even on the days where, and I'm kind of across the board, I have a protein shake for breakfast basically every day. I have, another high protein snack. So I do the same things, when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I'm at a point where I know, for the most part, I have to have my protein shake for breakfast, and then either lunch or supper, I have to have lean protein. Right, and then the other meal I can get away with being a little more lax, right? So I know if I go grab some fast food for lunch, I have to be good,
on point for dinner,
quote good, for supper then. Yeah. But then I know, okay, I brought a lunch and I brought chicken and pasta for my lunch. Now I can be a little more relaxed for so there's ways that.
But you know that because you took the time to educate yourself and know what you eat is comprised of these things. And as human beings, we get into our habits where I'm not eating 100 different foods that I need to keep track of.
Right, exactly.
I'm eating the same what, 30 maybe?
Right.
Less than 30 foods.
Probably less for me. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty
I would
picky.
say,
So
yeah.
If you are very, very
Regimented.
creative with your food, you probably have 30 foods that you eat
Right.
over and over and over and over
Right.
in your life, with the occasion of eating outside of that and not knowing
Well,
what
like
that
now
is.
we
So
have
if you
East-
know what those 30, 40 foods are, you're golden.
Right now we have Easter candy at the house and stuff, so it's like I try to in the morning for breakfast have less carbs and stuff because I know at night I'm gonna like snack on the Easter candy
Right.
and things like that. So
Yeah.
I haven't tracked forever, but yeah, it's just a lifestyle, and I know at night if I can have some cereal or cookies or whatever,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
on how my morning and my day went. Like,
Yeah.
I look
But if
and
you
say,
felt yourself getting off course
Right.
in a
Right.
in a given month, you would probably track what
Yeah.
you have, or at
Yeah.
least know the
Have a
things you
gen-
need to
yes.
adjust.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's kind of one of the tools that I've used personally, and this I think is a good conversation too, because I have a lot of people always that ask me like, okay, so now I've started tracking, I've been tracking for a month, I'm starting to get the hang of things, like, now what? So I think, for some people, tracking is something that is seamless, they have, it's super, super easy for them, they don't mind tracking at all, and they can do it forever for the rest of their life, and that's awesome. Some people, it's kind of a little annoyance, and for those people, having kind of like a so-called like light at the end of the tunnel where, okay, after, 3 or 4 months of, getting good at this, now I can kind of, adjust and the way that I use tracking now, because I still, do it off and on, is like right now, I'm totally good with where I'm at, right? I've been maintaining pretty much the same weight, for a while now, and I'm good with it. So I might be, 300 calorie. I might be in a 300 calorie surplus one day. I might be in a 300 calorie deficit the next day, and I'm evening out, right? So if I'm up a pound or two and then I'm down a pound or two, I don't care. Yep. But then the times where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cut 10 pounds. Then I'll go and I'll get straight to my tracking and I'll do it, and then I just kind of go from there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be something where I think so many people get caught up after 2 or 3 months and be like, okay, is this now what I'm doing for the rest of my life? Is tracking? And if you want to, by all means do it.
Right, because some people need that accountability because they
Right.
don't.
Right.
If they don't do that, then it's
Right.
not going to work for them. But
For sure.
Well, we got way off track there.
That's all right. I love those tangents because I think that
Yeah.
if we're going off the top of our head when we're talking about things, we're talking about the experiences that
Oh, totally,
you guys
yeah.
have had in our nutrition and our stuff. And I think a lot of the myths that we talk about, whether fitness related or nutrition related, have to do with what we've heard
Oh,
from
totally, yeah.
most of our athletes.
and it's good
So
to identify what
addressing
others
that.
are going through.
Yes, very good to identify things.
Yeah, and that leads us right into our word of the week, which is identify. And so last week we talked about non-negotiables. And so identifying what those non-negotiables are was an assignment that we had for last week. And so hopefully everybody is in a good spot figuring out what their non-negotiables are and how to adhere to those on a weekly basis. But now, this week, talking about identifying, we're going to talk about the obviously, okay, so identifying, the definition is establishing or indicating who or what or someone or something, what something is, basically, right? So we're going to identify our obstacles in this case. And with identifying those obstacles, we need to make sure that, with our non-negotiables, there may be things that get in the way of those things that we want to do to accomplish our goals. And identifying what those obstacles are is the only way to, jump over those obstacles. And we've talked about similar things to this when we talk about goal making and when we talk about this kind of stuff. But identify is a word that kind of encapsulates more of an action of how to do this. So there's a couple things that we want to identify. One, we want to know ourselves. What the quote that we came up with that Zach found is, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And so,
And that was a direct quote from me too, by the way.
Right.
I didn't find
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That was.
so he
We
said
just-
that,
yeah.
and it sounded like him in his everyday vernacular. He uses
Yes.
big words like know is the beginning of all your wisdom. He's very philosophical
Yes,
when
I
he
like to think
speaks.
so.
But that's the quote. And so the big thing is identifying things that hinder yourself. And I try to do this, and this is actually one thing that I feel like I'm good at. The thing I'm less apt to do is make those changes.
But you've identified that about yourself.
But I can identify,
so,
yeah. So, but I can identify things that get in the way oftentimes. Then the challenging part happens, and it's figuring out how to get over those obstacles, how to change something in your life, how to change a habit, how to do different things. But you have to know who you are. You have to know what those bad habits are or what you excel at. And so identifying things about you and knowing who you are and how you handle certain situations is going to help you to overcome those obstacles. So if, a lot of different examples come up, but if there's an obstacle in your way that is a habit, a lot of times a bad habit that you have, a lot of times what we want to do just as people, we want to often, like if you get called out for something that is that you take personally and you get mad about because you know that it's something you have to overcome because you know that it's a bad habit that you hold. Those are oftentimes the things that are toughest for us to change. And I heard an example recently of like identifying. So in this family, it was and this could be completely made up, but it was an example that had to do with bettering yourself and how other people might try to bring you down in that, even close family members. So this family was very messy. The whole house was messy and dirty, and the kid inside of that family identified that mess was something he wanted to create a good habit and not be messy and dirty like his entire family is. So he cleaned his own room, and in doing that, his family kind of attacked him and said, why are you cleaning your own room? Are you better than us? Type of conversation, and so the tough part for the family is identifying that was a thing that they should probably take into account, and if they see someone bettering themselves, they try to bring someone down. So this was more of like a haters type of conversation, but it applies here. If you flip the script, the family has now identified something and it has been brought to the family's attention that they're dirty and messy. And so instead of taking that in and identifying that as an obstacle or something to change, they took offense to it and they tried to bring this kid down for cleaning his room and trying to better himself. You know what I mean? And so it works in that context too. And so it's interesting because you do have two choices, and a lot of times it's how those things are presented to you on how you're going to take those internally. But if something's presented to you in a way that really offends you, and you get like super pissed about someone calling you messy, then and you identify that, that is, instead of identifying that, that is something that I do need to change. I need to work on being messy and dirty and not cleaning up my shit. Instead of doing that, you just take it, offense to it. Those are kind of your two options. You can internalize it and say, here's some action steps that I can do, or you can go the other way and just be like, fuck that person for saying that I'm dirty and messy. So that's the thing, that you have those options. What I would recommend, if you do feel that that offense, you feel like someone has wronged you by pointing something out in your life, identify that. If that is something that, even if it comes from a place of malice, like a conversation that I had with one of my athletes before was his friend had pointed out in a hurtful way that all he does is try to better the friend group's lives, right? So he's in a friend group that might eat like shit all the time, and he doesn't eat like shit because he's working on his nutrition and working on bettering his life and losing weight, right? So when everybody eats like shit, he doesn't eat like shit. when everybody's drinking a bunch of alcohol, he doesn't drink as much alcohol. When everybody's playing video games for an entire night, he would much rather be out playing a sport or exercising at the gym. So he brings up things like, hey, do you want to go to the gym with me? Hey, when was the last time that you've worked out? Let's go practice this sport. Let's go do this stuff that would better themselves. And instead they said, no, I just want to continue drinking all the time, playing video games for crazy amounts of time, and eating like shit and not getting better. So they had that option to identify some things that would make their lives better or continue down the path that they did. So even though they said to this to one of my athletes that you're an asshole for always asking about whether we're going to the gym or not. You're an asshole for saying what we're eating is not not what we are, but they took so much offense to that. They probably should have identified that those are things that I could probably get better at, and that would help my life move in a better
and your
direction.
friend has already identified who he is and what is important to him.
So he has these non-negotiables.
He doesn't take
right?
that as a negative thing. He knows that he's identified
Right.
what's important, so he doesn't
And he's also
have influence. They're not influencing. Holy crap!
There we go.
His decision making because he's comfortable and confident with who he is.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. He's identified that those are things because he has been in the spot where he's done those things. He's
And
been
it hasn't,
unhappy with
right.
his weight. He's been unhappy with how he feels and his athleticism in his sports, and he's been in that spot where he doesn't want to be anymore.
He's identified
He
as
identified those
non-negotiables.
things. He identified those non-negotiables, made the changes, and now he's trying to bring his friends up with him, and they may not be ready, and maybe they'll never be to make those changes and make their life better. But he's decided to live like an athlete. They have not yet, and so they've took offense to him trying to make them better, or even suggesting that they come to the gym with him or do whatever with him. And so those are some of the things that, some examples of both sides of identifying those things and making changes, or not identifying them, or even though they know, because it's been pointed out that they need these changes, they've chosen not to take action on those.
And I think as action steps for here too is like when we get to the end of a season, I think people are anxious and ready to get to the next season, and so these last couple weeks might not mean as much or whatever. But I think really identifying what your goals are for these next 2 weeks, as far as like gaining some strength and finishing out the season strong too, is good for people.
And the big thing, especially during strength season, is look at your lifting cards, and if you are seeing the same exact weight as you did from day one, then try to go up. You've put in the work to get stronger, and you've probably got stronger, even though you haven't pushed yourself to do it. Add 5 pounds, add 10 pounds to the same lifts these next 2 weeks, because when you do that, you're going to be able to do it. You're going to be able, and then you're going to document it and be like, oh, this is actually what I do. Same conversation that we had with the challenge. There's a reason why you're getting better. Now, granted, some of that is learned movements and muscle recruitment and different things like that, and strategy that we talked about. But others is getting stronger, getting faster, getting those things, those goals accomplished. So make sure that you're writing these things down on your strength cards, because then in that strength card you can see your progress, you can make continued goals, and you can keep pushing towards helping yourself get better. So, but yeah, those are great actionable steps. But yeah, again, I'm a big pen and paper guy, and so if you get out a piece of paper and just identify some of the obstacles that are getting in your way of the non-negotiable action steps from last week, or identify some things that that you'd like to improve on, and write those down, identify those this week, and we'll talk about ways to continue to overcome those obstacles in the future. So, anything else we got?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, so like and subscribe, click that bell, hit that like on the YouTube video. It helps to push this to new audiences. And comment down below about our conversation earlier.
Ooh, yeah.
If you like a list of 100 things that we can just guess, then we will continue to list off as many things
Prove
as
Tyler wrong.
as many things as you would enjoy us listing. I can actually get like the dictionary. We can just read a word and respond to a word. We can do 20
That
words a
doesn't
day.
even make sense. That is no.
I can pick this or that word and do 10 of those every single day. Do you like this word or this word more? And we can just have those conversations.
You know,
we can do all of those.
I think that could be fun, actually.
That
would be a terrible podcast.
It'd be kind of educational. Learn a new word.
Well, we don't know what our
Increasing
listeners want
vocabulary.
unless
We
they
don't
tell
know,
us.
We don't know. I
So
mean,
tell us.
this-
Yes.
We could be on
I
to
want
something
to
really
know.
good.
Please tell us where we're at, and if you want the lists, great. If we need to reformulate how we're doing that segment, then we will do that as well.
And then tell us what to do, too, because we don't know.
Any ideas? No, I mean, we're going to be creative.
No, we do
We're
want
gonna-
some ideas, yeah.
We're going to be creative. We're still going to have a craving, but the vote needs to be, I don't know, do you remember like way back in the day where we had, I don't know if we called it cravings or foodie or whatever segment we had way back in the day.
When
back
Jordan
when
was
Jordan
here.
was
Yeah,
here.
the Jordan days.
We had a topic that was so heartfelt,
Okay.
and we had two sides of it that we were arguing back and forth that you could get on one side or the other. I think that's kind of the thing we need to get back to.
Okay.
So the audience member, you out there in YouTube land, our Crave athletes and others can take that argument, pick sides, and be like, Tyler, fuck you for thinking this.
Yeah.
Or Amber, I'm on your side, because that's probably how it's going to be. But then you can take sides and we can argue points.
Yeah, we want passionate debates.
Passionate debates versus a list of chocolate or
Fucking
vanilla.
white. Woo!
I'm gonna clip that. We're gonna have
That could be gifable.
yes,
Right there.
yes.
Gifable.
So,
Gifable.
Gifable.
So we're just
that
gonna,
could, could be a good
Give me
phrase.
all the
Crave-
white
is it
cake,
Jiff or
baby.
Gif?
Confetti.
And I'm gonna completely take this the opposite way. We are gonna say the gym closet went racist and clip that, and Amber's just gonna be like,
Why?
white.
No.
That's gonna be the funniest thing that we can put. If we were a big podcast, that would get clipped and gift, and you would be
Right.
canceled.
And then, yeah, I would. And I would feel terrible because
it's
that's
just
not
not
my
what it was.
intention on this.
I know, but that's how
that's
the
how
social
it
media works,
does.
and I'm
It
gonna
does.
clip it and make it happen.
I think you
Amber
meant to
is
say
very racist. when it
vanilla.
comes to-
Vanilla.
Vanilla would be the word
Yeah.
we're looking for.
But yes, I digress. All right, and thank you for listening. Remember, you are an athlete. Live like it.
We really need to cut that out. That is not staying in there.
Fucking what?
What?
I actually said white, and I'm like, I
An athlete. It's in your DNA.
Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.